Hi, it's Rebecca. Today is Truther Tuesday, and I'm going to share with you some techniques that I've learned over my lifetime to completely get rid of anxiety. It is possible. And a lot of people suffer from anxiety and stress. They're taking these antidepressants, they're taking medications to sleep at night because they can't sleep, they can't relax. The ultimate cure is a spiritual awakening. But having lived on the planet for 79 years, I now realize that doesn't happen to everybody. You may not be in the right lifetime to have that big aha moment, but you can certainly work on yourself leading up to it in order to get that peace. You don't have to become a guru or a metaphysical teacher, but you do deserve, as a human being, to live in peace and to be able to be creative and happy and enjoy life without always stressing and having that anxiety. You know what causes it? I'm going to refer to some of my favorite teachers that I've studied. I've studied so many teachers over the year, and I've learned so much from all of them. Eckhart Tolle is famous for the power of now. It's really true. If you can learn to live in the now, not worrying about your future or dwelling on your past, you will become centered, living in flow, aligned with your higher self. You won't stress anymore because you won't be worrying about the future or the past. You let it go. You just live in the now. And the only way to do that is to enjoy the now. You have to create a mindset that appreciates the beauty, the harmony, the little things. You know, it could be driving your car and looking at the beautiful trees, or maybe you're in a city exploring that and enjoying it, having a meal, a conversation, a real conversation. That's what I like. I don't like these superficial conversations that a lot of people like to do that's nothing but taking up time without really accomplishing anything. I like to have real conversations. That was what I loved about being a crew member. I could always get into some real conversations up there in the sky. Away from it all, it was fun. Now, another one of my teachers that I enjoyed listening to was Byron Katie, Loving What Is. Go within and reflect on how that miserable feeling makes you feel. Okay, if you're having anxiety over a situation and you feel badly when you're thinking about it, guess what? You can turn your thought away from it and think about something else that will make you feel good. And then it's pretty amazing, but after a while, that thing that disturbs you disappears. It completely goes away because you're not giving it any energy anymore. So be careful what you think about all day long. That's very, very important if you want to get rid of anxiety. Now, mm, I went to a Byron Katie workshop years ago and I was married, and I really wanted to have more peace in my marriage. But when I went home from the workshop, it was still causing me anxiety. But then I got to a point where rather than reacting to anything that was going on that disturbed me, I just didn't react anymore. And guess what? We parted company. And that worked out okay, basically, for him and for me. That's the way it works. If you're constantly reacting to negative things in your life that don't serve you or don't bring you joy, you will get more of it because what you resist will persist. And that can cause a great deal of anxiety. There were certain things about being a crew member that were kind of distasteful, like long hours, exhaustion, people getting sick every now and then, turbulence, delays. There were things that would come up that could be very, very stressful if you let it be. But if you go with the flow and you just say to yourself, it is what it is, not going to let it stress me out. No matter what it is, you can rise above it and you can just be an observer. I told you the story about the day I left my body and came back down after having a vision of being a character like a Mother Teresa serving the starving people in Calcutta. And I was so freaked out by being overwhelmed by the demands that were being made on me that day that I literally left my body. When I got back down into it, and I started working again. I was standing in the aisle and I just got back into, doing my thing. I wasn't stressed anymore. I became an observer and I also became a server, an other-centered person, not a self-centered person getting aggravated because I wasn't happy. I was becoming more other-centered, where it didn't matter what I was doing, I could still enjoy myself, be it good or bad, be it distasteful or not so distasteful. I was just living more in flow, in that state of equanimity where none of it really bothered me anymore. And I stayed there for the rest of my career. So it's all in your perception. If you perceive an event, a person, an experience in your life to be distasteful, you're just going to get more of it. But if you can rise above it, and find something good in it and expand on that, you will attract like a magnet more of that good stuff. I just did it yesterday. I'm not going to tell you what I attracted, but it was a good thing. And it was something I had been desiring and meditating and praying about, and it showed up. I'll tell you about it in another video down the road. But right now, I also want to share with you these LifeWave patches. I'm telling you, people are always saying to me, you don't age like a normal person. Well, I've found some products like these LifeWave patches, which are stimulating my stem cells, that work. Don't let yourself get caught up in this crazy 3D world of old age and anxiety and misery. You don't have to. You can break free. You know, I know people that have absolutely nothing to be unhappy about that are unhappy. It's an inside job. Until you find that inner peace, it doesn't matter what you have in the outer world. You can be living in a beautiful mansion. You can be, have a lot of money in the bank. You can have all kinds of good things in your life and still be miserable if you don't have the inner peace. If you haven't figured out that it's an inside job. Many times we go out and we think, oh, if I could only do this or take this vacation or meet these people, I'll be happy. Guess what? You can be happy without any of that happening, and then it will naturally flow to you in a very organic, natural way because you're living in flow and you're aligned with your higher self, which knows everything about you. It can look around corners. It can look into the future. My higher self has actually told me a number of times in my life that I was going to move, what I should go do as my next job. A human-like voice has spoken to me like it was in the room with me. And this has happened to many people on our planet. We're being guided. And if you know how to listen and ask the right questions, all you have to do is ask and you'll get the answers. That's how it works. Don't be stressed out. It's not worth it. There have been so many different things I've experienced in my life that have brought me peace. Like, you know, every now and then I would go take a yoga class and get into that for a while. And then when I was living in New York years ago, I would take dancing classes or chanting or going to church all the time on a regular basis to lift my thought, um, meditating, going into nature. There are so many ways you can lift yourself up, but you need to have a plan and you need to activate it and you need to be ready to do it because the alternative is not so great. Why would you want to walk around being depressed and full of anxiety when there's a way out? There is always a way out. Go to my website, rebeccatripp.com, to see what I'm up to. And maybe you should buy some of my books because they are very, very helpful. And you'll see them on my website, rebeccatripp.com.